Good morning, and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I'm Fran. And today we're speaking with Gabby Powell. Welcome, Gabby.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. Awesome.
And can you talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing that's making the world a better place?
Oh, I help people find their deeper self. That's what I like to call it. People kind of shy away when you tell them that you hypnotize them, which which they really hypnotize themselves. I just help them with their journey. That's all I do.
So often, people, it seems especially religious people, are afraid of hypnosis. And as I recently told one woman who was very religious, she said, it's not in the Bible. And I said, that's where you're wrong. Jesus used hypnosis. If you look at any of the stories of people coming to Jesus to get healed, in every single story, Jesus said, your faith has made you whole. You did this with this. Of course, the
Right.
word hypnosis is only about 2 centuries old. So Jesus didn't use the word hypnosis, nor did Jesus use the word Reiki, but clearly Jesus also used Reiki. So it absolutely is in the Bible.
Yes,
But,
yes, I have a really good story about that too,
oh,
and
good.
I'm actually a Buddhist. Buddha used hypnosis as well.
Excellent.
um, I when I first started studying, I really loved hypnosis. It was amazing how helpful it was with just about everything all across the board. So I was a dental assistant, and I used hypnosis on my patients back then, even before I studied it unknowingly, because people have anxiety when they come see the dentist. So I just told them, close your eyes, take a deep breath. And I didn't know, well, I'm doing hypnosis right there, right? And it was really helpful for all of the clients. And they sent all the difficult, or what they call difficult patients to me to help them with the anxiety. But I had a lady one day and I said, you know what? You're telling me about all your struggles. Have you ever thought about using hypnosis? And she threw her hands up and she said, oh my gosh, no, no, that's against my religion. Our preacher says hypnosis is evil. It will open the doors to demons. And so I thought for a moment and I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. It does open the door for demons. But there's only one door to your subconscious, to your deeper mind. And it's the same door that lets in the angels. So would you like to learn how to control that door?
Brilliant.
Which is, yeah.
Right.
That really is very brilliant. And that was before you began studying hypnosis?
I was already starting to
Oh,
study
okay.
hypnosis. But yeah, it really made me think because it's like, what am I doing with my future clients, right?
That that's it's kind of sad to me when people are very religious and they're very afraid of control, and then they make it clear that they are controlled by their church or synagogue or whatever it may be, whatever
Right,
the
right,
temple may be.
right,
And they don't realize that it's okay. Jesus wanted, I mean, whoever their leader may be,
right,
should want you to have control over your life.
right, right,
And not so that you can use it in an evil way or a mean way or anything like that, but Jesus never, well, the only one I know, obviously, is the Bible. I haven't studied other religions per se. And I am currently a 30-year student of A Course in Miracles, which is also Christian based. But in A Course in Miracles, we refer to Jesus as our elder brother because, and I was raised in a very strictly Catholic environment. I went to Catholic grade school. My family was very Catholic, and in a sort of a militant way. It wasn't, I mean, it seemed like we were taught that Jesus preached love, but we weren't specifically encouraged to do that. It was a lot about, well, you have to be like us or else you're not right, and
Follow the rules. Follow the
right,
rules.
right. I was actually raised Catholic as well, and there were so many things that I just kept questioning. And I had a very good priest in our church. He was very open-minded. I love him. So Yeah, it really doesn't matter which religion it is, but we have to create that sense and that understanding within ourselves, as we're all uh, part of creation, right? God, whichever way you look at God, He created everything, right? So
I think
it's
so
okay.
much is our perspective in whatever we do. Just what you said, you want to control the door that also allows angels in. You have the power. So it's all about the perspective that we have, whether it's in our everyday life, how we perceive everything we see. I've said many times that there's an accident and four people have seen the accident. They were all there in different angles, and all the stories are different because we have prejudice or whatever that we carry with us. So if you can, just as you said, if you can have a person be more open-minded to be able to see things differently, just to change your perspective a little bit. No one wants to control you or have you do anything you don't want to do. No one's going to bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken. But we want you to be more open in the everyday. I'm Catholic as well, and I went to church this morning and I watched as some people came late to Mass. And I could see some of the people, I love to people watch. That's one of my favorite things to
Me
do.
too.
So even though I'm still paying attention to everything, I can see, depending on the age, male and female, people were annoyed. Now, they didn't make noise. I mean, the door opened and closed, but you could see shaking of the head and tissing, but you don't know why they're late. You don't
Right.
know what their life is like. Their car broke down, the bus didn't come. We're so quick to have a judgment in our minds, and that hinders us, I think.
Right, right. And when in all actuality, they might have tried really hard just to make it. They weren't sure if they could, but they wanted to be there regardless.
And it
So
has
they
nothing
made
to
it.
do with you, right? It has nothing.
Right.
Difference does it make to you? Just do your breathing and pay attention to the priest. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like be kind. I think all of us try every day to do kind things, but how do we get through to the people who are so angry? They watch the news and they're so angry with what's going on that they can't enjoy the everyday, the sunshine, the flowers, the fact that we're up and breathing, you know?
Yeah. Changing perspective using
Exactly.
NLP.
Yeah. Listen to music, do something that will
Right,
make your life better.
right. It also makes me think when I first started seeing clients and I was still in this dental assistant mode. Oh, they're 5 minutes late. Why are they late? They haven't given me any notice. I was getting upset. Like, if you make an appointment, you should be there, kind of deal. But then over time, I changed that perspective a little bit. Things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
We all try to do our best, and
I mean,
sometimes,
something like that. You have a tight schedule, I'm sure. So
right,
you should make every effort to be there when you can. You know what I mean?
right,
But some of these other things that people are bothered by, they don't, they're not personal. They don't
right,
affect you in any way. Something like that. I
right.
think people should be on time. I like to be on time.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But I also noticed things that sometimes something happened. I
Yeah,
overslept
right.
or something. And it happens to me too. And it never failed. It always happened right after I got upset with somebody. Then I showed up late. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Why did I do that?
That is
Gave
so
you,
true.
right. It gave you pause, right? It made you
Yes,
rethink.
absolutely, absolutely.
Just like a deep breath does, right? Like you said,
So,
you're
right.
sitting in the chair, take a few deep breaths. It really makes the difference.
So if these things happen, I go outdoors, I take a few deep breaths, and I just enjoy doing something different.
Yes,
Make the best of it.
yes, yes. And as for anybody who may be in a house of worship who is tisking at somebody or shaking their head because somebody else came late, the whole reason you're there is to love, not to judge, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right.
So how do you do that math? You know, how did you come up with that explanation that, if you're in a house of worship of all places?
Because it's internal, friend. They can't help it. Everything is so angry. And even children, if
Yes.
there's, I go to 7 o'clock mass, that's early. There are children there. I can't tell you the joy it brings me to hear a child at church. You know, even if they're saying, hey, mom, or whatever, like, and if a child cries, I think it's okay. You know, I kind of try to send, it's okay, you're okay, that kind of thing, you know. But you could see people are offended. You're troubling my, you know what I mean? You see, especially the older ladies, which we don't ever want to be that tisking old lady sitting at wherever we are. They're so angry instead of seeing the joy of the child, you know? I don't know. I took
Yeah,
it well.
that makes me think of my childhood, being in Catholic church and always being told, be quiet, don't even breathe too loud.
Yeah, I did that too. Let me tell you, I took all my kids to school, and my daughter, Megan, my oldest, her best friend was Jewish, is Jewish, and she would come, she would sleep over every weekend. So she came to church because I took all the kids to church. So, you know, they'd get the be on your best behavior, you know, no behavior, you know, sometimes I had to separate them, you know, that kind of stuff. You try to get them to be as good as they can, but I'm sure there were people shaking their heads at me. But you know what? I had 4 kids at church. I thought, I'm happy that they're here with me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's all part of it, family and friends, and going back to Jesus, he encourages the family life, and he encourages to engage with children. He engaged with children. So, yeah, we shouldn't just shut him out and tell him, be quiet. There's no
Yeah,
place for
for
you
the little
here.
children to come unto me.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Um, and of course, unfortunately, the version of the Bible that we know has been heavily edited. Around the time that Julann and I were born was Vatican II, and a lot was removed from the Bible.
Mm,
So, but still, we can still read it and get the real message that Jesus taught. I often say what Jesus wanted us to know was don't judge, do love, you are not your body. And the third
Exactly.
one was the whole reason for the crucifixion. The church tends to focus on the crucifixion, and it almost teaches a version of the Catholic Church anyway, a version of Christianity where the message is you should suffer.
Yeah,
Suffering
negative.
is
That's
holy,
right.
and I think some people learn that lesson too well. I will probably for the rest of my life argue that that's why my sister Kathleen died prior. I think she was 58 or something. I think she learned that lesson too well, that suffering is good for you. I mean, it's holy.
It's a real struggle. I mean, it's part of life, yeah. And in Buddhism, we have a saying that goes like this: "Suffer what there is to suffer, and enjoy what there is to enjoy, and regard both suffering and joy as parts of your life." Meaning that no matter how much you suffer, you're still allowed to experience joy, and you're supposed to, because I mean that's what gets you through all the suffering, right?
Right.
We need to.
It's the suffering that helps you to enjoy the joy. And,
Right.
as you have those two yin yang things on the wall behind you there, it's that,
Yeah.
it's all about balance. And as Julann so brilliantly says, she likes to think that things happen for her, not to her.
Right.
There's a lesson in everything.
Right. And we all just really need to reach in our heart, regardless of whether we understand the Bible or whether we understand a different book or whatnot. It all comes down to the heart. What comes from you and what can you bring to the table?
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned earlier in your conversation, you used the letters NLP. Do you use that in your practice? And if so, may I ask you to explain what that stands for?
Neurolinguistic programming. Yes and no. I think actually we all use it unknowingly, constantly, when we do hypnosis. Just reprogramming the mindset and connecting it. Was I have something written here to remind me of it. The neurons that fire together, wire together. so, so when you have some negativity and some things that kind of fire, then connect it with something positive, and you're kind of changing what wires together and how that sticks with you, how that sticks in your deeper mind. and continues to work in your and for you.
Right, in your favor.
Yeah, in your favor.
Yes. And I forget exactly how you explained it, but what you do with your clients, you said you help them to, I forget exactly the wording that you used, but I often will say that too. There was one time somebody referred to me as a healer. And I said, I don't consider myself to be a healer. I consider myself to be a guide, a teacher. I teach you how to do it. You know, when you're feeling a little out of control and like you can't make up your conscious mind to accomplish what you want to accomplish, I can teach you how to do that. But I don't heal you, you heal you. And then that gives
Right.
you more, you know, power over it.
Power, right.
Yeah. I don't exactly remember how I said that either, but yeah, I walk with my clients. I don't tell them what they have to do because I only know my perspective. I'm not in their life. I'm not in their head. They have to do that self work, and I can only teach them how to get there, like you said. I teach you how to
And
reach your deeper mind, how to get
change
more
your perspective.
understanding. Yeah,
See it differently. If
right.
you could just do that, what a difference.
And then, of course, using their wording, using what makes sense to them already, right? That's what we learned
Right.
in HMI. That's, I think that's what every successful guide and therapist learns, that using somebody else's words,
Oh,
using their words that make
Oh,
sense to them.
my favorite thing is, you know, when all my sessions are on Zoom now, so my clients can't really see, but as they're speaking to me, I'm writing what they're saying, their words. And especially with EFT, after we've done a few rounds of something or other, I love it when the client goes, wow, how did you know to say that? You know, it was perfect. Was it really? Huh, I wonder where I got that idea from. So,
Right. Right. I do that too. I always have my papers out here and I do a little bit of mind mapping. I'm dyslexic, so too much writing gets me all confused. So I do mind mapping. I have these bubbles, and there are little topics in each bubble, and then I write in those bubbles just short little messages, and throughout the actual hypnosis, I will use those words that fit right into those areas that we're trying to work on.
that's great. I even discovered a new type of visualization, a new meditation from one of my clients. She had lost a loved one of hers had died. And she said, I feel like I'm wearing this garment of grief. And so, as you might guess, the visualization that I did for her was to imagine that she was wearing a garment that represented grief and that she could remove it, and she just hadn't, and that she could replace it with a garment of joy. And when we were done with that session, she said, well, that was just perfect. That was perfect. I feel so much better, you know. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. And I've used it on other clients too. I call it cloak therapy, you know.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I do a lot of things with color. I love color therapy. As you see all this stuff behind me, some of it is made by myself, some of it made by my daughter.
Oh, lovely.
I love working with color, usually with yarn and color. So knitting, crocheting, sewing. It's just how I express myself, especially like I work with clients and we're not supposed to take all these things in, but I mean, you can't help but get attached to some of that stuff. So I do some work, I do some yarn work, and I bring these colors in and I bring different textures in, and it kind of helps me let go of stuff. A lot of people do that with painting too. I do a little bit of painting, not so much. But I love to help people, and I call it color code your pain. So I have people do the visualization, breathing in the colors that are helpful, and getting to where that area is that needs their attention, that has the most discomfort, and imagine what kind of color that is, what kind of texture, and what that looks like. And I think that's most helpful. That's really helpful to give things a color. And one lady, when I ask her to breathe in a really positive color that's helpful for her, She said it was yellow. And I don't stop there because yellow, there's a gazillion yellows. I said, what kind of yellow was that? What does it remind you of? And she said, oh, dandelion. Those were her words. And dandelion. And of course I used it. I was like, awesome. Breathe in that beautiful color. And when the dandelion creates all these seeds, breathe it out and imagine every seed has the tension attached that you blow away now. So yeah, you use these things. I always have a script in mind or a plan. In the beginning, I had everything planned out to the T for every session, but I never use what I plan out because every
Nothing
situation,
goes according to plan.
right? It's the client that guides where they're going and what makes sense to them, not to me. It's their
Absolutely.
session.
Yeah. I think at some point I just stopped even bothering with the planning.
Yeah, I'm at that point.
Yeah. Do you find that you attract a particular type of client?
At times, yes, at times. It's very interesting. The last few months and even the last couple of years, I attracted people with chronic issues and people with neurological problems, pain, and chronic pain and nerve pain and things like that. And yeah, I couldn't understand why I was attracting them. I have no idea. They all tell me, I just Googled hypnosis and I came across your name. Like, oh, that's interesting. We got a few hypnotherapists in town, you know. Why do I come up? I don't advertise.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. But yeah, they find me, and I love working with pain. It's very rewarding. I love working with all kinds of discomforts. It's just, yeah, it is super rewarding. And I'm always not shocked, but surprised when I start out with someone and I ask them, what's your level of pain or discomfort? And of course, I go to discomfort right away. And they'll tell me, I don't know, it's a 10, it's an 8, it's a 7, whatnot. And we just do a simple breathing exercise with those colors. Or I do things like find a time and place when you experience so much love, the most love you ever experienced in your life, and now take that and put it right there where the discomfort is, and the tears just start flowing, right?
That's so nice.
And I get things. One time, a lady afterwards said, "You know, I tried to find that place and time, and I couldn't find it." And yeah, that's so heartbreaking, right?
It is.
I said, "It's okay, you know, because you have it in you. You have that love, and you can create it in you, and you can still use that." And that's just a thing a lot of people struggle with. It's self-love too, and just love in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that may be especially difficult for women because we are not only biologically created to give, you know, like when a woman is pregnant, the woman's organs get pushed aside. There's if anybody experiences discomfort, it's the woman who's carrying the child and things like that. But I think we have a tendency to also be encouraged from the time that we're little girls to give, to be so helpful and to nourish and to and we're not really encouraged to love ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Right, and as mothers to practically give ourselves up for our family.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's so often when I have a client, especially when I have a woman that has children, they come to me and they say, I want to find myself again. I don't even know what that is. Like, I want to get back to myself. And I say, no, don't go back to yourself. Go ahead to your new self. That's
Bring
in the
yourself
past.
home.
It's
Right.
create who you are. Find who you are now. Because you're not that teenager anymore. You're not
Right.
who you were in the past.
Yes.
Right.
If you find that you have a lot of clients with pain, injury, illness, that sort of thing, as you recall, I'm sure we were taught about body syndromes at the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. And what we were
Yeah.
taught is that regardless of what may have happened that brought on the pain, injury, or illness, where you experience it matters, and what
Yeah.
level you experience it, your body speaks to you.
Yeah.
So do you find yourself referring to body syndromes with some frequency with your clients?
I do, but I'm still trying to get a better understanding of that as well. I mean, yeah, I learned a lot about it, and I'm currently reading a book, the Body Holds the Score, I think, which is very complicated to read through. That's a thick book with lots and lots of information. I just like to keep it simple.
Yes.
It gets too complicated when you get into the weeds with people on these things. It's too complicated. But yes, there are definitely some basic things to draw a connection to, and I definitely let people know there is definitely a connection. It's always a body, mind, and soul connection. You cannot just work on one or the other. I think it always has to be all three of them. And that's what I try to do, to incorporate that with every client, to regardless of where it started, whether it started in the body or in the mind, or very often also in the spirit, very often, to work on all three of them.
I even include energy.
Yes.
Body,
Yes.
mind, spirit, and energy.
Yes.
Every way you can define you, you're healing all of those areas. Because we don't realize, we especially in the Western world, we don't realize that we are energetic beings. We think we're this body,
Right.
and while we may be these bodies for this incarnation, at some point we're going to leave the body behind, but we're still going to be, we're still us, we're still this energy. So I think it's really important to understand and to make use of energy as well as the physical body.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Everything's energy, and the old lady had to remind me of that. Not that I didn't know that, but I kind of just got just lost my connection to that somehow over time. And she had Parkinson's, and she was trying to kind of slow down her tremors a little bit, and we were able to do that. That was actually pretty amazing, to find her happy place and what that looked like, and to teach her to bring that up anytime she needs that. And that really helped her control her tremors. It was amazing. 90 something years old, and she had passed since, but we had lots of very good conversations, like you made that clear earlier, that you learned from your clients. I learned from her, and she said, oh yes, everything is energy. Of course, everything's energy. So yes, we have to use that, and of course I used that with her, that
Yes.
understanding that she had. Everything is energy, even the clothes that we wear, and I'm wearing some clothes that are not very energetic right now. So even things like wearing cotton, which is almost on the same wavelengths as the human body, or wearing other fabrics, natural fabrics are just the best to wear for us. And then if you wear things like acrylic, there's almost nothing. It like blocks the energy, right? And that's what we do when we wear shoes with rubber soles and all that kind of stuff. So grounding is one of my favorite things to do, especially if I just got done with a client and like, there's so much energetic exchange that's been going on there. I need to go outside and hug a tree, kind of deal. Take my
Get back
shoes
to
off,
nature.
right? Take off my shoes and be barefoot. That's all energy. It's not mumbo jumbo. It's real energy that can be measured scientifically, and that's important. So
Absolutely.
yes, that
Absolutely.
all.
I don't know if you've ever studied Reiki, but in Reiki, you're taught that after a session, you actually sever sever the connections. Like imagine you're still connected by strings and you can just connect, or you can gather them and you do physical things to do it too. You do it with your hands, gather
Yeah,
them and get rid of them.
thank you for
Um,
that visual.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So when somebody wants to contact you because they want to be your client, how do they do that?
They can just give me a phone call, or they can go on my website. I have at the bottom of the website there's an area where you can schedule a discovery call, and I do the same thing as you. I work virtually only. Occasionally, I work in person. Yeah.
What is
So
your website?
it's Create Your Life Hypnotherapy.
Oh, great name. Jewel, do you have any other questions?
If there was one thing that you would like the audience to take away, if you could pick one of the many things you've said today, but one thing that you'd like them to take away, what would it be?
Um, you have the power. And only you can create the change.
Love that.
And
That's
I
great.
and I learned that in relationships as well. You know, we always
Exactly.
try to change others. You can't,
Right.
but you can
Right.
change yourself.
You cannot change somebody else, but you can pay attention to what you're feeling. And if you
Right.
don't feel good when somebody is present, like Julie even taught her children and her grandchildren, it doesn't matter who the person is. If you don't feel right around this person, pay attention to that. And
Right.
Yes, trust your gut.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. That's a
Yeah.
great thing to take away. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for
Excellent.
joining us.
Yes, thank you so
Oh,
much,
thank
Gabrielle
you.
Powell.
Thank you. It was really
And
my pleasure.
your website is Create Your Life Hypnotherapy. And thank you to our listeners. This has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran and our guest, Gabrielle Powell. And please like and share this video and subscribe to our station. And please join us again next week. Thank you. So long for now.
Thank you.